Hello and welcome to the tutorial on some basic colour theory. Today I'm just going to do a very quick exercise and a quick tutorial just on the colour wheel. We're going to be discussing primary, secondary and tertiary colours, and I'm just going to show you how you can build up a colour wheel of colour just using the main three primary colours. So one thing that you'll get from this little tutorial is you'll also gain a little bit of understanding with regards to brush and colour, brush techniques and colour. What you do need is you need some watercolour paper, you need your watercolour paints, some clean water, your kitchen paper, and then you also need a daisy palette, a plastic palette. If you haven't got one of these, a plain plate works just as well for mixing your colours. So that's the basic materials that you need. So one of the things that I want to try and get across with this short tutorial is getting used to your colours and getting used to your brushes and the way the colour feels through the brush. So for example, we're going to use some of the red first. So I'm just going to blot some water off on my brush, take up some paint, just take the excess off, and then all I need you to do is just to do a squiggle and take the paint so far, put it back into the water, just dry your brush off, don't reload with paint, but then just carry on and just carry on to see how that paint changes and how the colour neutralises almost and just becomes that little bit lighter. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll just take up some nice blue. Again, just blot the excess off. And you're just going to be doing just a very basic, just a squiggle. Dip your brush back into the water, just dry it off, don't go back in your paint, and then just pull the colour through. And you'll get used to then seeing the gradual shading of the colour. So again, we'll just do it with a little bit of yellow. Dip your paintbrush back in your water and then just bring it down and through, and you can see how the colour has intensified from when you first applied it to the paper, and it's gradually getting paler the more water you've added to the colour. Now these are the three main primary colours that we're going to be working with. And it takes you back to your basics at school. If you think about mixing red and yellow, then you get a colour of orange. So we can just do that now. So if we take up some red and apply it to the paper and just clean the brush off and take up some yellow. Can you see that the bit in the middle has become orangey? So red and blue, if we mix red and blue together, so we'll put in some red again on the paper and then add our blue. It goes a lovely purpley colour. And then our other mix that we can do is we can mix the blue, put a little bit of blue here, and we can mix that with the yellow, and straight away you can see that that's mixed as a green. So using these three primary colours, so we're going to be using the red and the blue and the yellow. What we're going to move on to do is we're actually going to move on to build a colour wheel, Now, the colour wheel is something that you will find useful as a point of reference. So once you've actually done this colour wheel, it's worth saving, and then you'll be able to use it as a point of reference to see what colours complement other colours, what colours sit opposite and bring out a level of vibrancy. So the colour wheel is a fantastic tool to use when you're painting. So let me just clear my workstation away. I'll just take this piece of paper away. Okay. Now I've already drawn a colour wheel. So all I've done is I've actually drawn around the palette. So I've drawn a circle on my watercolour paper, and then what we're doing is we're doing a 12 section colour wheel. So you need to divide your circle in half, and then you need to then divide it into quarters, and then each quarter you're going to be working with is then divided into 3. So you're then just having 3 slices. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting in our main primary colours, which are the red, the yellow and the blue. And then from that point we're going to be mixing our secondary colours, and then we're going to take it one step further and we're also going to mix our tertiary colours, but I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go. So using your paint, we'll start with the yellow, and this time I'm going to just put a little bit of yellow as a puddle into my palette, because I'm going to use that as a base as well to do some mixing in. Now I am using the paint pan that I always do my tutorials with. If you're doing this tutorial and you have tubes, then you'll find the process of mixing the colours a little bit easier than if we're using the pans, but we shall manage with the pans just fine. So starting with the yellow, starting from the outside edge of your colour wheel, you just need to work the colour through the segment of the wheel. And what I would like to achieve is I don't want it to be a solid block of colour. I want to be able to make sure that coming towards the centre of the wheel it's just that little bit finer. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on there and just wash that back a little bit. Okay, so there's the yellow. So from the yellow we're going to skip 3 segments and we're going to go and just put in the red. Again, I'm just putting a little bit of red in my palettes before I apply it to the paper. Just take some of the excess off on my kitchen paper and then just start working the red in the colour wheel. Okay, so we've got our yellow and we've got our red. So the next primary colour that I'm going to add in is I'm going to add in the blue. So again, skipping 3 sectors on your colour wheel, and you're putting in your blue as your primary colour here. Now primary colours are called primary colours because there are no combinations of colours that make red or yellow or blue. So that's why these are called the primary colours. So again, just blot the excess off, and then we'll just go in and put in the blue. Oh, that's a little bit pale. Now you don't have to be too neat with this, because like I say, it is just a point of reference, but it's also a very, very useful exercise just to get you used to your paints and your colour and the brush and how you can work your paints on the paper. Okay, so we've now got our blue in place. So from our primary colours of our reds and yellow and blue, we can actually use these three colours to make our secondary colours. So we're going to make some green, and to make the green we're going to be mixing the blue with the yellow, and that makes the green. So take some of the blue and some of the yellow, just add a little bit more of the blue to make it a little bit greeny. There we go. Take the excess off. And then we'll just fill in our slice on the colour wheel. Okay. So there's our lovely green. So coming to this section here, our primary colour is yellow and red, and if we mix the yellow and the red together, then we will get a lovely orange. So in another little pocket on your palette, I'm just going to put in some red and then clean the brush off and add some yellow. Just a little bit more vibrant, then pop a little bit more red in it. There we go. And we'll just paint in our orange segment of the wheel. And like I say, doing this, you'll get used to the paint on your brush. You'll get used to the feel of your brush. And also used to the pigmentation and the colour, depth of colour with the amount of water that you add to the colours. So there's my orange. So moving on, we're going to be using now the red and the blue, and that's going to make a secondary colour of violet. So again, just mixing in the palette, add in your red. And the blue. Take the excess off on the brush. And then just fill in the violet on the colour wheel. Okay, and those are your secondary colours. So you would have, out of those primary colours of red, yellow and blue, when you've mixed those together, you've then created green, violet and orange. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to then carry on and make what you call tertiary colours on the colour wheel. So we'll come back to our yellow, which is just down here, and our orange. So using the yellow, and the orange that we've mixed before, we shall just fill in our next slice of the colour wheel. Can you see that we've created a completely different shade? And this shade is now called a yellow orange. So using the green, I just need to make a little bit more green, so I'll just use the blue and the yellow. We're then going to do the same thing here with the yellow and the green. So I've got the green, and I'm just going to add in a little bit more yellow. Just take the excess off. And there, as a result of that, we've created a yellow green. And you continue to work around your colour wheel. So here we're going to be using the blue and the green, and we're going to be creating a blue green. So on my palette, I've got some blue and some green. So we'll just mix those together. When you actually do this exercise, it really is quite surprising just how different colours how many different colours you can make from just the main three primary colours. So there's my blue green, and then we're going back to the violet that we made here, and we're going to mix that with the blue, and we're going to create a blue violet. So again, just fill in the section on the colour wheel. It doesn't really matter when you're doing this exercise if the colours do bleed in together. It doesn't really make much difference, but it can be nice just to keep it separate. Like I say, you then just use this as a point of reference and a tool. And then up here we're going to be using the violet and the red. So I'll just quickly make up another violet. So it's using red and blue. And that has given me my lovely colour of violet, which we've just painted here. So I'm just going to add in some more blue just to give it a different tone. And then this is my blue violet. Take up some of that water on that one actually, put a bit too much water on it. There we go. And then finally we're going to be working with the red and the orange, and that's going to create a red orange. So I'll just quickly just make some orange up again. So using the red and the yellow, given me my orange, and then I'm just going to add a little bit more red just to give it a warmer tone. And then just paint in my red orange. Okay. And there we have it. Out of three colours, three primary colours, red, yellow and blue, you can actually mix on your palette to gain 12 different types of colours. Now, these colours all here actually have a temperature to them. So you can see if you take a line from the centre, from the red down, this half of the colour wheel is very warm, and these colours are ideal for sun, fire. They're just really nice, warm, earthy colours. This side of the colour wheel is very cool, and these are colours that are suitable for sky, and they're also colours that are suitable for water. So these are the cooler and these are the warmer colours. Now, the colours that are opposite one another on the colour wheel, they are the colours that are pairs of colours which, when mixed together, they cancel each other out and become quite a muddy colour. So, for example, we've got red and green. So if I just put this to one side and just grab a little bit of scrap paper. So just to show you, if I was to mix the red and the green, can you see that they've literally just cancelled one another out, and I've just been left with quite a muddy sort of grey colour. So when working from the colour wheel, it's important to remember that colours that are opposite one another will cancel each other out. But likewise, they are also the complementary colours. So red and green really goes together and becomes really quite vibrant, as does the violet and the yellow. So have some fun. Have some fun building your own colour wheel. Like I say, it's a great point of reference, and you don't need to have too many colours actually in your paint palette. As long as you've got some basics, it is worth having a go at mixing them and just seeing how the paint responds on the brush with regards to the water, the amount of water that you add to it, and that will give you your different variants of colour. But have some fun, build your own 12 segment colour wheel, and have a go with the different mixes like we did on here. You can see the difference now they've actually dried. You can really see the blue and the yellow has made the green, the red and the blue has made the purple, and the red and the yellow has made the orange. So have some fun. It's a very, very simple tutorial, very basic tutorial, but it's just going to help you with regards to your colours, what goes with what you can't put with what, but it also then helps you with your pigment and your depth of colour as well. So any questions, don't hesitate to message me. I'm here to help, but yeah, enjoy this tutorial, and I shall see you again soon. Goodbye.